As Rangers fans, we know that a goaltender is the backbone of a hockey team. At Abundant Wealth Management, we are your financial backbone, offering financial planning, wealth management, tax planning, and estate planning services. To schedule your free consultation, head to www.abundant-wealth.com. That's www.abundant-wealth.com. Abundant Wealth Management. Live, plan, triumph.
You're listening to Rangers Radio, your home for end-to-end coverage of the New York Rangers. With your hosts, Brendan Azoff, Zach Domino, and Steve Pappas. Blue Shirts fans, the puck drops now.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Rangers Radio. And if you were with us at the end of last week's episode, Steven and I talked about how the Chicago game on Wednesday was going to be a trap game. And lo and behold, after a back-to-back on the weekend where they had hard-fought overtime losses against two of the top teams in the West, the Rangers come out and lay an absolute egg in Chicago, getting shut out 3-0 by a Blackhawks team that was getting absolutely lit up in their own zone. But that is the story of the Rangers this year. Just inconsistency across the board, and that's what we're going to be talking about this week. Boys, how's everything going?
You could have had the smoothest brain on planet Earth, and you could have correctly predicted the outcome of that game on Wednesday. I mean, was there a bigger trap game than that one? Like, it was. I sat there. I'm like, oh, cool. Chicago's 2-8 in their last 10. They've given up 4 goals a night for the last 10 games. So obviously the Rangers are going to struggle to score, and it's going to be like their first time putting skates on. I mean, it is not great. It's just, I mean, the best way to describe this is it's worse than I thought, and it's worse than we could have imagined, because they're not bad. Right? That's like, they're not bad. They're going to win games and they're going to lose games. They're just average. Like, be bad. If you're going to be bad, be bad. If you're going to be good, be good. We can't sit here night in and night out, go 3-game winning streak. Everybody sits here and says, look how good they are. They're back. And then immediately a 4-game losing streak. And then, you know, you're back at square one again. It's like, it's literally 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. This team is getting nowhere. They're doing nothing with nobody, and they're not helping themselves with any of these draft, you know, in the draft this upcoming year, because they're going to pick 15th and 16th and 17th in the draft if they're lucky. Maybe sneak in, you know, as the last team in the Eastern Conference, or they're going to be picking 14th and 15th. So it's like, it's worse because they're not just bad. They're just average. Average teams have performances like that. Average teams also go out and they look really good against the Colorado Avalanche. I'm not going to let anybody gaslight me and tell me that game against the Vegas Golden Knights was a good game. They got absolutely shelled for 2 of the 3 periods in that game, but everybody wants to sit there and say, but look at that second period. Look how good that second period was. That third period where they were clinging to life was so much worse than the first period, when we sat there and said, are they playing the same sport? So don't sit here and say, listen, this team has some positives, they have some negatives. They do. That's the problem. Either be good or be bad. You can't be average, because we're going to sit here for the next 7 years and say, oh, well, they're there in some of these games. They're just average. That's the problem. I can say it 1,000 times in this show today. They're just average, and it sucks.
It's tough to be me. It's tough to be me,
Mr.
because
Positive. How about that?
I don't even know what. Hold on, someone say something.
Oh, this
Okay,
is great.
here you.
This
Good,
is
I hear you.
perfect.
It's tough to be me, because, like, look, I'm gonna say something stupid, and then next Thursday, the Rangers will be 2-0-1 over the next 3 games, and I'll be the best team in the league. And then we'll talk, and then they'll play the Blues on that Thursday night after our show, and they'll get their asses handed to them.
Wait, hang on. Answer
It's
this
just
question for me. Answer this question for me. Why does that happen? Why do they look good sometimes and not good the other times? It's because they're average.
I'm also starting to think, like, they don't look good that much. like the thing is, when they do look
We've been
good,
trying to tell you this, buddy.
when they do,
trying.
it might be something that they look actually so bad so much that when they look good, it sticks out. But, like, they're bad because like we may look back and Chicago may have not been a trap game, more so in terms of like the Blackhawks may just be like a lot better than us. Too much. I watch the Rangers play and I say, wow, that team's young and fast. Like that team's young and fast. Like we're growing up at a great time with sports in general, where the modern games are very different than like the times when we grew up. Like the games are just so different. Not even to say it's great, but it's very interesting. Like specific ways work now that like when our dads watched sports didn't work. And like seeing my dad try to understand that is very interesting. Hockey's speed. Like hockey went from such a physical game when we were growing up, and like a microcosm of that is just like the fighting. Like I remember growing up how many fights there were relative to there was now. They've done things in the NHL to like lower the physicality for player safety when it's really they just want more goals and more scoring because they think that that's what is exciting. But I mean, speed is the first thing, and you get that a lot of time with youth. So that's why I'm saying young, like youth and speed. But you got to be fast because if, when you're bad and you're slow, it's like the perfect it's the perfect mix.
You become the Rangers.
Spinning circles around the Rangers, and Chicago was one of them. Like too often you'd have an alien watch the Rangers play and be like, their opponent's amazing. And then you would laugh because you would show them the standings and be like, this is the worst team in the league that we're playing tonight.
Brother, we are
about us. So
it's season where we're summoning extraterrestrial beings to watch this team and judge how they play. That's how down bad we're at right now.
We need to sell. We need to sell. And the next time I don't say that, you guys clip this and show it to me because it makes
I just marked it.
There's not a reason not to sell. Like it works too much. Like the Rangers don't have a good prospect pool. Like everything says to sell. The Rangers don't have a good prospect pool. They're not a good team and not going anywhere this year. And when everything that's going wrong, you could still potentially sell off a bunch of decent pieces from this team to get your cupboard full. I know it's going to happen. Brendan's going to say, yes, that's the plan. But the man that is responsible for making those decisions would make the wrong decisions anyway. I've been doing this for 3 years at this point. Dude. I know what he's going to say.
Right. Like, I just had this conversation.
You still got to do it, though, right, Brendan?
No, of course you have to do it, but they won't do it. They won't do it. They're already being circled in these rumors about getting Quinn Hughes.
I know.
Quinn Hughes, I hope. Listen, I'm going to say this because I wasn't going to say this until the end of the show, but I'm just going to do it now since we're on the topic. I hope with all my heart that they go out and they trade for Quinn Hughes because the best thing's going to happen. They're going to give Vancouver even more than they just gave for JT Miller. And in a year and a half, he's going to be skating across the Hudson River with the New Jersey Devils anyway when he's a free agent. It is the dumbest thing they could do is getting Quinn Hughes. He is not staying with the Rangers long term. His brothers are across the Hudson. He wants to go there. Everyone knows it. Even Chris Drury knows it. But guess what? We're going to trade all the prospects and picks that we don't have to trade because we have an old aging team and we need all those picks and prospects we could possibly get for Quinn Hughes, who's a terrific player. Don't get me wrong. And in any other scenario, I would say, yes, please trade for him. The Rangers don't need to buy. They need to sell and sell everything. They need to be a going out of business store right now.
Get rid of everything.
First of all, hang on. First of all,
Adam Fox straight up for Quinn Hughes.
First of all, well, that's lateral at that point. Then it's a lateral move, and what do you do? But first of all, we know Chris Drury's not going to be trading for Quinn Hughes because he is a young, talented, speed-oriented, puck-moving defenseman. He won't make that deal unless Tyler Myers is involved in that deal. Like, let's be honest. We need somebody that's 6'8", that can't skate, that can't handle the puck. It feels like we're at that point of the season where we're using the Rangers for clicks already and throwing them into trade rumors.
TikTok clipping.
Yeah, there is not a chance in holy hell that you can sit here as a competent human being with all of your brain cells and say, you know what, the New York Rangers are one person away from winning the cup. It's Quinn Hughes. No one is sitting here in their right mind and saying Quinn Hughes takes this team to the Stanley Cup final because no one's going to be satisfied if they make the playoffs. Again, it goes back to being mediocre. You either have to be a contender or you have to be in the bottom of the league. Why do you think, and I'll bring this to the NFL because I've started to realize this, like if you look at, I don't follow the NFL a ton, mainly because I'm a Jets fan and I have no reason to do that, but the Jets and Giants have the 2 worst records in football over the last 10 years. You know how many times in that stretch they've had the number 1 pick? None of them have been bad enough to get the number 1 overall pick. So when you see it's a bad example, but the Atlanta Falcons or the Bears now, or these teams, the Panthers that, historically were bad, the Texans that are historically bad, how did they end up finding their guys and getting their guys? It's because when they were bad, they were bad enough to constantly be picking in the top 10 and in the top 5. Like the Rangers, listen, say what you want about Lafreniere and Kakko. Again, we can talk about it till we're blue in the face. 2 years of being lucked into the number 1 and number 2 overall pick isn't necessarily going to fix your team. That being said, they were in a completely different situation than a normal team that would have a number 1 or number 2 overall pick.
Put them 4 or 5 years ahead of being like closer to being worse than it would have been if both of them panned out.
Correctly.
That, though.
Yes. So if you're sitting here with the Rangers and you're just going to middle in the 14 to 20 range for the next 5 years because you don't want to commit to a full rebuild, and you signed your goaltender to an 8-year deal, and you signed Adam Fox to an 8-year deal, and you have these guys that, in theory should be good that just aren't, like, that's, again, it just falls back on poor managing. Like, this team needs to, while you can, trade the assets that you can. Alexis Lafreniere is on top of that list. He doesn't have a no trade clause this year. I don't think he has one next year either. I think in 2 years is when that modified no trade clause
27-28 season it starts.
Yeah, so not this year, not next year. So this is the prime time to move him. You shed.
What do you even get for him though? And I don't even know. Like, what you give him for nothing?
Who cares?
Somebody will give you a first round pick for him.
Really? Oh my god! I drive him to the airport.
The trajectory of Rangers and what happens when they get rid of players is not lost to the rest of the league. I don't think Lafreniere is a garbage player. I think he needs a change of scenery badly. I think if he went to Seattle instead of Kakko, he'd be doing better things than Kakko's doing in Seattle right now. But I also have a high disliking for him just because it's never been a lack of skill with him, man. We've seen the moves. We've seen the shot that he just scored the other day. It's never been a lack of skill. It's always been just a lack of consistency. And that's the
MO of the team. Like the MO of the team
that's why we're all pissed off with him. And, speaking of lack of consistency, the only player that I would send to Vancouver right now for Quinn Hughes and be okay with that trade is the guy they just got from Vancouver and JT Miller. And I was reading today about how if Mike Sullivan and Team USA don't take JT Miller onto that roster, that there's going to be a rift in the Rangers locker room. Good. If a rift is what it takes to get out of that contract and get rid of him again, he's been an abomination. I would trade places right now with Trouba in a heartbeat and have that back. 100% I'd have that back. And you know what else? Trouba had
Are we looking at this with rose-tinted glasses?
I am. No. Trouba had an excuse. He was hurt at least. And you got to remember, those teams went where? No matter what you have to say about Jacob Trouba.
Not in his first year, though. It took him some time.
But the first year he was acquired in the middle of a rebuild. JT Miller was acquired for one purpose, and his whole purpose was if we get JT Miller's attitude and mentality on this locker room, then all of a sudden we're gonna start to get back to where we were. And in fact, they've gotten worse. He's been terrible. And you could say that, he had an injury in training camp. That's fine. Well, it goes back to either one of two things. Don't play, or at least do the little things right so that you're not he's not even moving. Right. And I think that's where it comes. Jacob Trouba, when he was doing bad things, he was skating through the wall trying to hit people and missing. I could live with that because at least he's trying. JT Miller is just watching people go around him, going through the motions, and then sitting there post game and saying things that, they sound good. But it's after 33 games, it's bullshit. All right. It's bullshit. And that goes back to the buzzword of the season. They haven't won a game in their centennial jerseys. They're celebrating their 100th season, the no bullshit season, and all we've gotten so far is bullshit. So please.
I think there's a lot of guys to trade. Like, I'm looking at our roster, and like, can't you just trade everyone? Like, let me name a guy, and you can tell me if we can reasonably get a first or second. Artemi Panarin.
He should be gone.
Would we get a first for him?
Yes.
Alexis Lafreniere.
More on the
fence. Team out there that
I'd say yes.
Will Cooley.
No.
Would we get a second?
Yes.
Here's an interesting one. First answer if you would trade him, and then what we would get from Vincent Trocheck.
Yes.
Yes, and
But he would probably give you a
Would we
first.
get a first?
first. No, you get a first because he's a centerman,
So
and
we
he
just
wins
said three
face-off.
firsts and a second for guys that literally are probably
it's-
not going to be here whenever
but
this team is good.
It's
the only
impractical.
It's
They're not gonna do it.
because they're not going to. Yeah, exactly. They won't do it because that would be rebuild, right? That would.
And would you get rid of Sam? Would you get rid of a guy like Sam Carrick if someone came calling with like a mid-round pick?
Yes.
Yep. There
So
shouldn't be anybody.
Is there anyone? Is there any? Let's start the opposite way then, because it's probably a shorter list. Is there anyone who's untouchable if someone were to give you a right price? Like,
Nope.
What would?
Yeah, you're
Like,
right.
what
I
would
mean, you're right.
Noah
It's crazy
Laba-
to say that. Like,
Listen, I told
well-
Steven this. I don't think you were on the show, Zook, but I said it's at the point where I would sit Fox and Shesterkin down and say,
I was-
save you from yourself, right? It's like, listen, in a perfect world, no, you don't trade Fox or Shesterkin, but in a world where you are and should be rebuilding, and you have two players on this team that would not just get you one first, but they would get you first plus, right? You're talking about a hell of a haul, even with Shesterkin's contract. Somebody like if Edmonton was sitting here, they would probably say, we'll give you starting with Evan Bouchard just to offset the salaries, just to get Shesterkin on their team. But there's not a single player on this team that should not be unavailable. You have to sit here and say, we need the picks, we need the prospects.
But Carson
there
Stews
are.
team.
I mean, there are guys that are untouchable, and it's the Gabe Perreaults, it's the Noah Labas, it's.
I don't think they are untouchable because I don't think anybody's that good.
But you
If
need
they
to-
were
you
that,
need to-
if they were that good, they'd be in the NHL already.
I don't.
yeah,
think
but
there's.
that's coming from a competent organization.
Yeah, but it's just I don't think.
I think
if
Perreault's
somebody said,
untouchable.
We'll give you a first and a third for Gabe Perreault right
Oh,
now.
sure. But I'm saying
No one in their right mind is
Okay,
giving you.
But I'm saying
would
there's a
someone-
price that
The
you
only
Would you take
person
a
doing
first?
that is high on bath salts right now. Like
the only
there's no
person
way-
doing that is the guy
So-
with the asset, so he can't trade himself. But if someone offered you a first for Gabe Perreault, you're not taking that, right?
Dude,
Dude,
if there was a prospect swap and it was multiple prospects in exchange for Gabe Perreault, I'd still do it. Like all I'm saying is I don't want to trade Gabe Perreault, but there is nobody on this team that if somebody gave an offer that was
Could
reasonable,
we get
and made
something
sense,
for Carson Soucy?
absolutely, you can get something for anybody. It's the NHL.
Look,
But
what you get for
I will
Soucy-
say that we all shit on Pat Verbeek for those trades he was doing, and now look at Anaheim. And
Yeah.
when Anaheim comes to the Garden on December 15th, there will be nobody cheering louder for the Anaheim Ducks than this guy right here.
I just want some young speed. And Steven, your guy that you were talking about, what's his name? Tynan
Lawrence. Yep,
He
Tynan Lawrence.
he was put up to the number one prospect. And
Is he
McKenna
actually
dro-
over McKenna?
And McKenna dropped to 4.
4?
I didn't look at the list but the headline was Tynan what did you, sorry, say it one more time.
Tynan Lawrence. Yeah,
Lawrence
he's a
moves up to
Muskegon.
1 and McKenna drops to 4. I think it was at the Athletic. I didn't
Oh,
see who was 2 and 3, but I've been
Shocker!
reading that
I'm
McKenna
right
hasn't been
again.
great.
When are you people gonna know? When are you people gonna learn? If I'm saying something that sounds ludicrous, I'm probably right.
Do you think the Rangers have? Okay, here's a question: 2.5 first-round picks in next year's draft, over and under for the Rangers.
Under, they're gonna have none. They're gonna have
You're gonna have
none.
none, and Quinn Hughes is gonna
But
be. a
we'll have like
Ranger.
another old
It
third
has
line
taken-
center.
It has taken 2.5 months. 2.5 months for Darsh to come into Long Island and stay there and not only reshape that roster, but reshape the culture into a way where that team could lose their number one goal scorer, Bo Horvat, who might have more goals this season than every Rangers forward combined. I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head. And they still find a way to win that game. He drafted Matthew Schaefer first overall. We all understood that he was pretty much a consensus, although not to the level that we've had in the past. But he drafted him first overall, and people were saying there was a real talk before the season about how we should go back to juniors for a year. And he said, no, we're going to start him in the NHL, and look how that worked out. And they didn't just start him on the third pair. They started him on the first pair. He's playing power plays, doing everything for him, and look how that motivates a group. He went out and he added Druin, who's not this household top 6 forward anymore, but he does have a lot of skill and speed, and he found a way to replace what they were lacking under Lou Lamoriello. So he has, in 2.5 months, done the exact opposite of what Drury's done since he's took over the Rangers, where they went from having those young prospects that have some skill, have some speed, and have this group of guys that are playing for each other when he first came on board, to deteriorating this down to the style of hockey that both your dads were watching and my dad was watching back in the day, where you had to punch the guy's lights out in order to win some hockey games. That's not what happens anymore. That's just not how the league works. And you look at the only comparable I have is the Anaheim Ducks because it's the exact opposite situation. Pat Verbeek drafted beautifully. He drafted beautifully well. And the one guy on that team that they didn't draft was Cutter Gauthier, who they had Trevor Zegras there. And Pat Verbeek said, you know what? I'd rather this kid because they have a scouting department. They don't just have a scouting department for prospects. They have a scouting department for NHL level teams as well. The Rangers don't do that, obviously. And on top of that, he said, well, with all these young kids that I've drafted that I believe in coming into the league, what do we need? We need some veteran pieces. And they go out and they get the Trouba, the Kreider, and they get these guys to fit that mold. And now you have the core from that Rangers team, the locker room guys like the Stromes, the Vetranos, the Kreiders, the Trubas, who everyone loved so much so in New York that they threw a fit last year when people were getting sent off. So that core group of guys that everybody loved is now around talent. And look what that team's doing. If you do this in any other profession, he would have been fired 2 years ago. It is moronic. This dude is a horrible general manager. I didn't even want to do the show this week because I've been so pissed off stewing in my own thoughts about how we've talked about this week after week after week, how this dude is so lost as the general manager. And it just continues to be proven right. And he's going to trade his first-round picks to buy at the deadline. And when that happens, I will be buying a Ducks jersey. And I will be a Kreider Ducks jersey. And I will be cheering when they win the Stanley Cup in the next couple of years. Kick rocks, Chris Drury.
I can't tell who's the most hated general manager in the New York area right now. I mean, whether it's Brian Cashman or David Stearns or Chris Drury, I mean, I feel like the three of them combined are sharing the same brain cell and they're huffing the same pot of glue. And
Joe Shane, the guy on the Giants, is hated too. So it's just a tough time to be a general manager in this area.
Yeah, I mean, what's in the water? Town. What is in the water here in New York that we're attracting just brain dead general managers?
Dude, but as you say that, like I said to myself, like imagine the Rangers had a Cashman or Stearns level. Like Drury's that bad. Like Drury's so much worse than those guys. Like if the Rangers had a Cashman, who I think obviously on the Yankees you're held to a higher standard, but like you can't compare Brian Cashman to Chris. Like Chris Drury's that bad.
It's hard to compare baseball to hockey with the no salary cap.
But Drury's so bad. Like I think Drury relative to other GMs is way worse than Cashman is to other GMs in baseball. Like Drury's the worst GM in sports, I think.
I'll put it to you this way: if Chris Drury got fired by the Rangers, will anybody hire him?
No.
If Brian Cashman got fired by the
Buffalo Sabres when they fired Kevin Adams,
when anybody relevant hired.
Dude, I had
somebody every year.
I was out last night and some Sabres fan just turned to me. He goes, I don't know how we got on the topic of hockey. He goes, you know the Sabres are firing Kevin Adams tonight. I'm like, cool, dude.
No, they're not.
It's like one of those stories where it's like, yeah, my buddy is the rink manager and his dog found out that they're firing Kevin Adams today. And it's like, I was like, you want Chris Drury? I'm like, I'm sure he's loved up here more than he is in New York. I mean,
what about a GM trade? One for one.
Trade Kevin Adams for
Chris Drury.
That feels like
feels
like a lateral move again.
It is, but give him 6 months in new environment. See what happens.
He turned Buffalo into a Cup champion.
I would love to
They'd be the youngest, fastest team in hockey the second he gets out of New York.
I would be so hype if we had if we traded people and got an asset.
It's been such a shit week for New York sports fans, dude. It doesn't feel real. Like doesn't feel real.
When was New York wins nothing. Like New York's been this way for so long. Like it's crazy. And the Rangers are like the Rangers are too, whatever word you want to call, I'll say elite and fantastic goalies over the past what has it been? What has it been between Hank and Igor now? 20 years of. If you had half a brain cell, you would have been able to put a winning team around them. And it's like if we didn't have those two and we just had above average goaltending during that time, we could be the worst franchise. We could be the Sabres. We could be the same.
Connor Sheary is playing top line minutes in 2025.
I almost tweeted this.
Talking about
it's the most mad I get in my life right now is when the Rangers are playing bad. And I see Connor Sheary on the ice. Like for that period, we look good and we're scoring. It's like, oh, Sherry, like he fits. When the Rangers are bad, it's like we're bad because our first line has Connor Sherry on it. When he couldn't even play for the Lightning this year, when he
couldn't
scored
play
his
for an
goal,
NHL team last year.
when
Any
he was-
NHL team.
when he scored his goal, they were like Boyle was like trying not to make fun of him, but he was like, I never had a drought that long. Like that's like he should be retired. He should be out, and half the time, like he's out leveled. Like he's on the ground, like swiping at things. Like he's like a pesky guy, but I mean, he's a guy that we should be like, oh, he's on our fourth line and Rempe's coming back. We may have to sit Shiri, but he's playing next to the captain and Vincent Trocheck. It's so the team is bad, and when the defense is bad, then you think about guys and you're like, how good are when they're bad? It's just, and Steven says it, like it's easy to see when the effort is low. When they have no effort and they're bad, you can really start looking at this roster being like, yikes. Because then you see the tweets like JT Miller, like everyone's here till like the 30s. So how do you even rebuild with guys that you can't get rid of? Like there's a ceiling to your rebuild because you can't even tear it down. I think that's the biggest problem. It can't be teared down to the ground. You're trusting Chris Drury to try and fix it on the way as guys come off individual years. And as we've seen, Chris Drury's the absolute worst at putting Band-Aids on things or trying to add supplemental pieces. Besides the 1 year it worked, and he did it, and then the next year he thought he needed like Patrick Kane and names. He doesn't know how to build a team. He doesn't know how to find guys that fit specifically or time things out. He's like too concerned about like any given day to worry about like what's the move that gets me to an actual Stanley Cup faster. Not what gets me to the Stanley Cup this year, because some years you don't have a shot, and if you go after it, you can actually ruin your chances. Like anyone can tell you the quickest way for the Rangers to win a Stanley Cup is to trade every single guy they have, basically. And like as much as that sucks to say, because like you limit yourself to the earliest one you can win is 3 or 4 years, that's way earlier than the 8 years that they're basically going to sit on right now. That as you get older, I think part of maturing when you're a diehard sports fan is like you never want to root for losses, but like you slowly realize that it's just way better for this team to not be in the middle and be bad, trade all their assets, have like 3 or 4 first round picks, because there's a million different things that has to happen. It's not like just get rid of the guys because we have young prospects. We have too many old guys and no.
You want to talk about farm system? Gabe Perreault has 17 points in 18 games for Hartford.
But
right?
Connor, but he's not good enough. Like, and you say it more than anyone, Brendan. We could have lost 3-0 and got outclassed with Gabe Perreault playing. Like that's the worst case scenario.
Wouldn't have made
Perreault.
a difference. He should be up in the NHL.
So like, 100%. What's the Rangers are doing? Like,
but this is
the
problem
with a team that stinks.
This is
by the way, can I just mention, looking at today's lineup, Scott Morrow's out. Vakanainen came in for him
because they did the power plays, and
Scott Morrow looks fantastic, and we're gonna fucking bench him. Are we joking?
Dude, Scott Morrow should be besides Gavrikov like my solution was like play Morrow with like I'd rather play Morrow with Gavrikov than not play Morrow at this point, because it's about like seeing like. You got to play guys like that. Like it's ridiculous. And young speed. How many guys can we look at for top points in the NHL? And they're like under 20. I feel like there's never been more like really young guys scoring a lot of points. Gabe Perreault's line mates are running out. Like Will Smith is playing amazing now. Like give him a chance. Don't give him a 5-period leash where the third period of the second game, you're putting him on the bottom 6 to then send him down to call up a guy that's sitting in the press box. Like, give these guys some time. Like you got to find if they sink or swim. You just elongate it, and then it takes you 5 years to realize that Othman's a dud, and you're going to lose him for nothing. Like is Perreault not going to play for 3 years? Like find out now. Find out now what these guys are about. Because what's the downside? The downside is he's as bad as Connor Sherry. Like that's what's stopping us. It's not even like a mid-level guy that you have to choose between because we're good and there's a veteran who's playing out of his mind. It's Connor Sherry.
well, here's the fun conversation is outside of Gabe Perreault, right? You have Trey Fix-Wolansky, who they signed this year to a 1-year deal, has 14 points in 23 games. Him and Justin Dowling, who has 16 points, are the 2 other leading scorers on that team, right? Then you just have to keep going down. So you keep going down. There's Brendan Othman at 10. He's got 8 and 17, 8 points in 17 games. That was the guy, the first round pick that was supposed to make it this year. He's got 8 freaking points in 17 games. Then you got Adam Sikora, who they drafted from Slovakia. He's got 7 points in 23 games. He's not even considered remotely even close to coming to the NHL level.
No.
Then you keep scrolling down, right? Keep scrolling down. You mentioned Scott Morrow. Scott Morrow, who you got in the Keandre Miller trade, who's supposed to be this prospect that you got in a return. They refuse to play him in a proper role. Adam Fox gets injured. You could put a mobile right-handed puck-moving defenseman next to Gavrikov and give the kid an actual shot. And what do? You scratch him for Vakanainen. Then you go below him, and this is Hartford standing. Scott Morrow's still ahead of this guy, by the way. Carey Terrance, who they got in the Chris Kreider trade, who Chris Kreider's going nuts. He has 2 points in 23 games, 2 goals, no assists in 23 games at Hartford. This is the Rangers prospect pool, okay? It is pathetic. Every single thing that Chris Drury has touched has been garbage since he's entered the Rangers front office as the GM. It's been terrible. And it's just, it gets to a point where if Dolan's not going to fire him, and he didn't, he gave him an extension, but he's not going to fire him at the end of the season. And the coaching staff is going to be still different staff, same type of mentality where the kids don't actually get the chance and these veterans who don't deserve it continue to get put into the lineup. If that's all going to stay the same, I beg the question of why do we care? Why do we watch? What is making people go? Why are we still doing this to ourselves? We could watch a 10 p.m. game with the Anaheim Ducks and have a lot more fun. That team's much more enjoyable.
You watch a 7 o'clock Islanders game.
I watched the Islanders game last night, and it was a hell of a lot of fun. I had no rooting interest. And guess what? I texted my buddy. I said, let's go Islanders. That game got me hyped up because I haven't watched a good hockey team play this season at all. I watched Matthew Schaefer on the blue line, by the way. I know he plays for the Islanders. We're not allowed to like the Islanders players. I will never root against that kid. He is fun to watch. He's got a great story. But just watching a 18-year-old player in the NHL move like that, actually enjoy where he's at. You could see him have some fun on the bench. And then watching what the Rangers are doing, I have zero interest. I turned that game off halfway through the second period on Wednesday. I will not be watching what happens in Montreal. They're going to get
That's the first game
I'm not watching that.
You guys know how I am. I'm generally and stupidly optimistic. That was the first game that I literally turned it off during the intermission of the second period. Like, I'm really someone who can stupidly buy into things. Like, it got to the point where finally we had no chance in that game. We were getting absolutely dogged. We're lucky that Igor and Quick are as good as they are. Some of these games would be early, done real early, like after 5 minutes.
Knicks have revenue. He doesn't care.
And the Scott Morrow thing is just so frustrating because we're bad. And as a fan base, when you say why to watch, there's no one to even be excited about if he doesn't play. Like, no prospects are playing. No, like, a bunch of old guys are playing. The young guys haven't lived up to or not top prospects. That, to be honest, even though I'm probably on the extreme end of a big fan of his, when I see 60 on the ice, I'm like, okay, that's like the prospect we got for Keandre Miller that just looks different. That just looks like he has the mind. Is he good? I don't know. His play style is out of the modern NHL, and he's getting confident every single time he plays. You can tell he was looking over his shoulder when he was first playing. He even said it himself. You both have even said it at moments that he's made plays that are just different. I know Brendan in our group chat when he made that play, I don't know if it was an overtime or the third period, where he literally carried the puck on his backhand in the defensive zone, where he had a guy on his back and cleared it. And those are the things that you see that make you go, he's got something. And to sit
Schneider takes that puck and he dumps it back into his own end,
or throws it over for a delay game, or gives it back to them. Like, Scott Morrow's just different, and it's like he's not even that good. So when he plays, to see that difference just tells you how bad everyone else is. And it's, what are you doing? Because again, Brendan said it a million times. If we lose the next game or look bad the next game with Euro Vakanainen in the lineup, which I'm sure we will, the worst that could have happened with Scott Morrow is we looked that bad with Scott Morrow. Like, so the Scott Morrow one is almost the most frustrating because, yeah, you've seen at times where Othman looks really bad. Perot looks physically that he can't compete at times because he is a little small. Scott Morrow looks good. Like, Scott Morrow looks good and looks like he's getting better every single game, and that's a drastic thing. Like, he's so much more confident with the puck. To sit him, like, we keep telling the young guys that they're the problem because whenever the Rangers make a change, it's to the young guy. And you got to think with human nature, you're talking about 18 to 22-year-old kids. That's part of what's hurting their development. It's self-confidence. Like, how can you play well and ascend and be the guy that's taken out when not only are you getting better and we should be playing you no matter what, you're needed. Adam Fox is out. And we run this 5-man power play that's given up 1 goal, has given up a billion chances, and does nothing. When Scott Morrow, if he can only do one thing, everyone was confident he could run the power play. It was everything else that we're seeing that he's getting better at. They're not even letting him do the one thing that we're all sure that he can do. So it's like the Morrow one with him sitting, when I saw that on top of being the first time I turned off a game in between the second and third period, was like, it's to the point where I'm team sell. I'm going to watch them. The losses will probably slowly start to hurt less until we get to a point, which could even be before the calendar year, where the only news I want to see is like Panarin wants to go here. People are reaching out about Will Cooley, like different things, because that's where this team's got to go. It's not one guy. It's not 2 guys. It's not 3 guys. They got to get rid of like 4 or 5 guys and get a whole new crop of young guys in there. And if it means be absolute dog shit for a year or 2, so be it. The problem is I don't know how dog shit you could be with Igor Shesterkin. Like, are you ever going to be like top 2 or top 3 in the lottery? They're in a very, very, very weird spot, and I don't know. I'll say this to you guys. I'll toss it back to you guys. How many teams can you genuinely say in the NHL are more in a bad spot / purgatory than the Rangers when it comes into being bad, plus having no young guys, plus having a bunch of old guys that are on the contracts that they are, plus who the GM is? And take the GM out of it, because I don't want to even – they can't even talk about our anti-Chris Drury bias. Talk about the other 3 things. Only old guys, no young guys, and bad. How many teams are in a worse position?
There's 2 teams that immediately come to mind, and that's Vancouver and Nashville. Those are 2 organizations that are veteran-led, that stink and really have no future. And that's why, Vancouver's talking about trading Quinn Hughes, and that's why people are very upset at Barry Trotz in Nashville. It's because they don't really have anything. Like, there's nothing. Like, at least if, San Jose, Chicago, like, they're bad, but they have guys to look forward to. Like, the Rangers are in that class of teams where they're bad. And again, I said earlier, they're not bad, they're average, which is worse. They're average and have nothing to look forward to. Like, if you sat here at any other job in the world and your current product is no good, your future product looks even worse than that, what happens to the person that's in charge of that product? They get fired. Like, how many times can we sit here and say that Chris Drury is the number one issue with this organization? Because right now he's stopping them from being good down the line. I mean, that's just what it is. It's the trades that have been made in the past. It's the signings that have been made in the past that have led to this team right now having absolutely no present, and at the same time not drafting correctly and not developing your talent well enough to have any sort of success in the future. So again, the question just always turns on Chris Drury. The finger always gets pointed back to Chris Drury, that there is no earthly reason that this guy should be given another chance. Like, again, he's probably not going to get fired this year or this during the season. He cannot be the general manager of this hockey team come the draft this year. He just can't do it. That's malpractice if he is picking in the draft this year. That can't happen.
And at least the Predators and Canucks, when I look at the standings, which goes to the point we've all made, at least they're at the bottom. Like, again, like the 2 teams that we said are definitely worse than us, at least they're worse. Like, at least they're being bad. When the Rangers, again, are in the middle of they're at like the bottom of the lottery right now. Like, and so what are we going to get better with a 12th pick, like a 12th pick and a 14th pick? We can't even do it right where we can get into the top 3 of the lottery, where we can get where the game changers come from. It's a very, very bad spot to be in. And if it moved, so like surprising things would have to happen, which is the sad part. Like, there's nothing to expect it to change. We would have to wake up and something would have to happen to this team that no one would expect. So you can never feel good about something like that happening. So we just sit here. And there's nothing to do. Like I would apply. Like sometimes when I get upset about my sports teams, I would apply to help for free. But
I'd play. Give me a $1 contract. That way you could help get a.
I don't think I know less than him. Like I think I can identify like this was a bad like don't do this. Like I can be the guy that says don't do this, Chris. Like there's some moves that you can ask anybody in the world and they would say don't do this, Chris. And he just happens to be Chris.
The last thing that I'll really say, the last thing that I'll say on this, and then you guys can talk about whatever you want and finish it up because I'm exhausted of talking about the same shit. But do you remember when John Tortorella got fired by the Rangers, went to coach Vancouver, and at that point in time, Chris Kreider hadn't been seeing the ice a lot under Torts. First game against Tortorella, Chris Kreider had a hat trick. Do you guys remember that?
This was
back in 2013. It's been an awful season for the Rangers, right? They've been up and down. They've had points where they've looked okay. They've had a lot more points where they've looked really bad. They've been terrible on home ice. On top of them being terrible at home ice, Chris Kreider is going to be returning to the Garden. Now, I know that last year there was a lot of dissent about Chris Kreider, and throughout his career, he's gone through stretches where he's been invisible, and that really was his undoing in terms of last year, right? Is that even though he was clearly injured with how everything went, he was too invisible for too long, and that was it. He was gone. If there's one thing that you had to say about Chris Kreider during his Rangers tenure is that whenever there was a big moment, he showed up. And I don't really care if you hate him or not. If you weren't the biggest fan while he was a Ranger, I was one of the bigger fans when he was a Ranger. He showed up in every big moment. If you don't think that on Monday night, when he's back at the Garden for the first time, he's going to get an ovation, when there's a tribute played, and he's going to have these emotions going through his body, if you don't think that he is going to have a monster game against the Rangers, and you don't think that he's going to get his boys to have a monster game for him, I think Monday night, December 15th, is going to be the absolute knife in the back of Chris Drury. It is going to be the moment that Barclay Goodrow has wanted, that all Jacob Trouba, who's going to be on the ice, has wanted. It's going to be this pinnacle. It's all built up, all of this. If they were doing a fight night in Vegas, I would do the opening for it. I am ready to go. I am so excited to watch it because I know
rooting for the Ducks.
I am. I already said it on this episode. I am rooting for the Ducks on Monday night. I want there to be not physical.
Do you want them to like beat us up?
I want Chris Kreider to have a hat trick at MSG. I want Jacob Trouba to at least have 1 or 2 points. I want Ryan Strome, if he's going to be playing, to have a point. I want all these former Rangers to have a point. But more importantly, if the Rangers won, I'd still be happy. Sure. I want Chris Kreider to just go out there and show that the reason that the Rangers are in a position that they're in is because the guy that sits in the top seat has no idea how to evaluate talent, evaluate relationships, and run a hockey organization. And I think that Monday night against Anaheim, the reason I'm rooting for the Ducks on Monday night is because I think that is the time where it could be black and white enough for Dolan to actually make that change.
Here's the question. Do they start quick that game?
I hope not.
It's a back-to-back with Vancouver's after the Ducks game. They do on DraftKings. They do like DraftKings Icebreaker, which is the promo. They did it for the NFL and the MLB, and it's called NHL Breakaway. And it's if you bet on a guy to score a goal and he scores the quickest goal of the game, they like divide. I don't know how big the pot is. I know for the baseball one with the home run thing, it was like $1 million. The guy that won, I think his name was Alexandre Texier. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. The guy on the Canadians. Yeah. Everyone got to split $88,000 because he was so little bet. And if they're doing NHL Breakaway on Monday, you have to bet Chris Kreider.
Oh, and if they're doing Tuesday, you got to do Elias Pettersson.
Yeah, Chris Kreider's going to score within the first 30 seconds of the game, and it'll be something like.
So I'm going to post a video of me going. I'm going to have a Rangers rally towel going.
We'll hook somebody, and it has to be on the power play too. And it just has to be him standing in front of the net and just tipping one. Honestly, he'll have a shorthanded goal, a power play goal, and an even strength goal.
If he scores a goal in front of the net on the power play on a deflection, I hope that his celebration is just this. Just him spreading his arms, looking up, like, this is what I did for you for how long? His 13 goals this season would lead the Rangers. Okay? Listen, I'll raise my hand. I said that it was time after last year, and I
It
think
was. That's the problem. Is
I
it
think
was time.
The sad part is it wasn't time because he was washed. It was time because the Rangers organization has been washed. There's a reason they didn't win a cup from 40 to 94, and now we're sitting here since 94 not won a cup, and it's been 30 years already. It's because this organization is just, if you looked up inept in the dictionary, it's the New York Rangers picture that pops up, because this is what happens. It is just year after year after year of this same crap, and I'm really getting sick and tired of it. I am sick and tired of watching. They're not even enjoyable because I know, forget the X's and O's. I just know that there's no energy on that bench. They look dead. You got Loth doing this crap on the bench. It doesn't matter what's happening. And then he does that helmet thing whenever he misses a net, which is a lot. I'm surprised he doesn't have arthritis in his neck. It's pathetic.
We have lost the plot.
It's pathetic. I'm done. If you want a Comedy Central episode, that's what we'll do next week, because I have no desire to actually analyze this team anymore.
I want them to go 2-0-1 so bad so I can say this.
I am telling you right now, if you want to live stream the game Monday, I have a men's league game after this, so I actually get to watch that game. I am the biggest Ducks fan. I actually might order something on Amazon right now just to get a Ducks shirt just to watch it.
Everybody go send for the holidays. Just send Brendan a load of Ducks gear. We'll get you
Lexapro.
We'll get you a meeting with Pat Verbeek. How about that?
Jesus Christ. I would like to shake Pat Verbeek's hand. I would like to shake the hand that has fleeced Chris Drury on countless occasions.
Well, there's a lot of hands. There's a lot of
Chris
hands.
Drury. Hey, Chris. That guy Jacob Trouba, you don't like him? No, we'll take him. We'll take that full contract too. You're going to really get a good end of this deal. Hey, Chris. Oh, that guy Chris Kreider. You're done with him? Yeah, no. You take this Carey Terrance guy. He's a real deal, real good prospect. Yeah, you could take him. Oh, thanks, Pat. Fucking asshole.
How quick? God damn it! How quickly until Artemi Panarin ends up Anaheim Duck? Does he score 50?
He's the one where I'm getting comfortable watching. Like, I'm all in on trading him regardless. He's just not in it anymore. He needs to go somewhere else.
I say that, but again, listen, dude, he's got what, 25 points in the last 10 games, 15 games?
And you're the one that always points it out. It's just like, watch the guys play, like you always say, with effort. Like,
yeah,
it's gone up where, like, he's now back to that point in the defensive zone when he gets the puck, it's backhand across the middle of the zone, trying to make a play. Like, it's the, when Panarin doesn't care. Like, even when he does care, he doesn't do a lot of the effort things. When he doesn't care, it's like he's trying to deke out 3 different guys when he gets to the zone. Well,
2 things are true. He's doing that because nobody else is filling their gap correctly, and nobody has the speed for him to go chip it and chase it. So he's got to feel like he does.
Yeah, and what he's gonna go somewhere and light it up. Like, he could end up winning the Stanley Cup MVP. Like, wherever he goes, he's gonna be so good. Like, we know that's the case, but he's the one where, because of everything that's going on with the Rangers, if he goes somewhere and lights it up and we get a first-round pick or a first plus for him, I don't think I would ever feel bad about that trade, because he's just the sign of, like, what needs to – you can't extend him. Brendan's been on that from the beginning. He would have to give you, like, a super
they can
friendly contract.
They can.
You want to see me lose my mind?
They probably will, but, like, he's the opposite of – and he's so skilled it works at times, but he's like he's slow. He's not physical. He gets pushed off the puck at all times. There's games, like, I think against it might have been the Knights, where they were just literally pushing him off the puck like he wasn't there.
It wasn't the Knights.
He's the one where, kind of like with Kreider, like, I'm fine with
4 years, 11 per.
I'm telling you right now, if you guys want guests on this show, and the Rangers sign Artemi Panarin, you will have to tell me that I'm no longer welcome on the show, because the things that will come out of my mouth, I might get fired in my job.
Like, I feel the same way about Panarin that I do about Kreider. Like, Kreider's playing fine, great. Like, Steven even said it. He had to be. It was time. Like, sometimes it's just time. And as much as you would like to win every, divorce,
unfortunately, it was time because your general manager's brain dead. If you had, like, a competent human being running the show, like, it's not time. That's the one thing I think. Like, 2 things can be true. Like, in retrospect, obviously hindsight's 20/20, right? Like, you see that. but it also paints a picture of what the actual problem is.
Correct.
Right?
That's why I want Monday to be how I want it to be.
We all sat here last year and nobody's, we're all guilty of sitting here saying, well, Kreider wasn't doing this and Trouba wasn't doing that and Miller wasn't doing this. But at the same time, we all come to realize that this is the general manager's fault. This is where we're at. And, until that, I'm taking Chris Kreider to score. I'm taking Trouba for a point. Shit, I'm taking Strome and Vetrano for a point. Like all those guys, I hope they score 20 goals.
They really might. Listen, I'm not going to, say anything heinous, I promise, for those that are listening for the first time. That's just who I am. I'm not going to become an Anaheim Ducks fan. That's not how I can operate. I like
it's frustrating.
Organization
It's
team too much.
so...
But it's very frustrating to see. I don't want to say the vision, but what I want to say is it's very frustrating to see an organization utilize the players that the Rangers had in the way that fans and people were clamoring for the Rangers to use said players for years. And it's more frustrating when all Anaheim really did was draft right.
Yeah.
And I can't even, the one part about this that I can't be mad at Rangers management for is the drafting, because anybody would have taken Lafreniere. Anybody would have taken Kakko at 2. That's not on them. How they've gone about building the other components over the years is on them. But if Kakko hit and Lafreniere hit, not only do the Rangers probably have a cup in the last couple of years, but their window would have been 6-7 years longer, because you could have let the older guys go without having to bring in a JT Miller and those types of other contracts. And you would have been able to have 24-year-olds on those contracts like they do right now with Loft, except it would have been worthwhile. And it's a culmination of bad management and bad luck. But as we've said in sports, and as is said often, you make your own luck. And when you make numerous bad decisions with the rest of the roster, the odds are high that you're going to wind up being the team that drafts people that are busts. And that's what we've seen. So it's really just years of frustration. I've never seen a Stanley Cup in my life. The only World Series I've seen for the Yankees, I think I was 10 years old and I fell asleep in the 8th inning. So I didn't even get to watch them actually win the freaking World Series. I'm a Cowboys fan, so I haven't even seen a damn NFC Championship game. I just want something to go right, boys. I just want something to go right.
I'm looking at the top 7 scorers in the league, and 5 of them are the first overall pick, and we have Loft. And it's just like there's McKinnon, there's McDavid,
don't worry,
there's Brady, there's Bedard, and there's Eichel.
What is he?
Eichel was the first pick, right?
No,
what is
Lafreniere after McDavid?
Okay. And then there's also Leo Carlson up there, who was also a second-round pick. So, second overall pick. So if we want to talk about, Kakko as well, it's like the league and the top point scorers are littered with first and second overall picks. And we have 2 guys who couldn't even, scratch 2 pucks together. It's what, we had our shot. How many other teams, if they had the second overall and the first overall pick in back-to-back drafts, would just not be where we are? And it's clear. You just look, there's so many other teams that had the first or second overall pick, and it's guys that are dominating in the league. And we have one guy that we traded for a journeyman defenseman that we gave a huge extension to for, months too early, that we could have gotten probably whatever terms we wanted. And we got another guy who we have to play because of the contract we gave him, but most nights looks like the worst skater on the team. And it's gotten from the point where Lafreniere is not even what he's supposed to be, relative to, he was the first overall pick. It's just in a vacuum a lot of nights he's the worst player on the ice. It's not like, what's he at versus where Carrick is, what you expect from him. It's just no, Carrick's better than Loft tonight. Loft is that bad a lot of nights. And that's why even when he looked good, some people say, I didn't see it, that he looked good against the Blackhawks. That was more an indictment of how bad everyone else looked. Loft has one move, and it's because it worked early in his career where he puts it through his legs and does a sweet backhand sometimes. It seems like he's always trying to prepare for that one move. And people just shove him off the puck, or he loses the puck because it's a tough move to make. I don't know.
We're
It's
all out.
Yeah,
We're all out.
It's tough. I'm still gonna it got to the point again where it only took 1 week to get here, where I'm excited the Rangers didn't play last night. I'm excited the Rangers don't play tonight, because I'm gonna watch the new Knives Out movie tonight, which I would rather watch.
I
than
want
the
to
Rangers
do that
game,
too, but I have
which
to
I-
work after this.
which
too.
I would rather watch than the Rangers game. And it's like I was excited for the game. Like over the weekend, I was like, okay, I know how this is probably going to turn out, but let me be a sucker for a second and like, let's just win. It would be a little different if we won. And then I turned the game off in the third.
Right, every time, man.
I turned the game off in the second period. It was they were getting dominated by a team that, by all intents and purposes, isn't even that great. They're just young and fast. Like if you're fast, you're gonna look better than us. You could be like have blindfolds on and just be like skating around the ice fast. And we have guys that can't keep the puck on their stick. They can't make quick decisions. They're not fast enough to get away from guys chasing them. So against speed, man, oh man. And then the sad thing is going into the Vegas game, and I even said this, it's like, oh, this is a team similar to us. Like our weaknesses are like they're better than us, but our weaknesses are the same. They can't enter the zone. They're not the quickest team in the league. They were entering the zone at will. They were skating circles around us. So it's like, how far are we away from the next slowest team? Like it's going to be one of those graphs where like the fastest team and the second to least fastest team is as close as like we are to that second to last team. We are so far away when it comes to speed. Every time I watch these teams, they're way faster than us. All we heard about the Blackhawks, it was in like national news, and the hockey never makes national news. Like how badly they were getting beat. Didn't they lose like 8-0 to the Ducks or something like that?
Something like that.
And then they came out and
I
kicked.
think it was 7-1, and they gave up 53 shots on goal, and the Rangers, I think, had what?
Yeah, and then
18?
and they looked like the best team in the league against us, and you gotta look at it the other way when you play the Rangers. If you look good against the Rangers, don't feel that good about yourself. Don't feel that good because everybody looks good against us. The Blackhawks one was just very eye-opening because I don't think anyone in the world thinks they're that good, but everyone knows what they're doing with young talent and supplementing it with guys around that young talent. They're like what Brendan said about the Ducks, like the Blackhawks are trying to do. They're building with young speed, and you supplement with the veteran guys. And then they went out there and they got Spencer Knight, which is obviously a great pickup. But you see all these teams and you leave being jealous of the situation that they're in because they got young guys that you get excited about. They play the modern style of hockey. And even if you beat them or if those teams don't feel great about themselves, at least those fans could like see a potential future. Like I said, for us to get to the potential future we want, a surprise has to happen out of nowhere. Like we have to wake up one day and get like a push notification from ESPN saying that James Dolan fired Chris Drury, or we traded this guy, traded that guy. Nothing that we probably could predict would happen is what needs to happen for something to change. So what do you do when you're in that situation? You just got to sit there and wait. You just got to sit there and basically wait. And we're not even tanking, so you can't even look at the top 3 or 4 guys that people are excited about and say, oh, we're going to at least get one of them. We're going to get like the 14th overall pick, and adding the 14th overall pick to the worst farm system in hockey, like you're not that much closer. What are we going to add another Brennan Othman to our prospect pool? Great. You got to add some top tier talent.
It's bad. And we should do an episode where we just talk about all the trees, right? All the trees, like the Rangers trading Ryan McDonough and JT Miller to Tampa and what happened with those. Like we should just show what happened to these guys. And then we should do about 15 minutes on coaching because you have Knobloch recently, you have Dan Muse, you have Mike Sullivan, who they let go, who was an assistant coach who wound up winning a couple of Stanley Cups, and now they bring him back. They let JT Miller in the trade go. That he has 100-point seasons. Now they bring him back. I can't do it anymore. So
Yeah.
Steven,
We've
any
been
final
talking
thoughts?
58 minutes too long about this.
I agree.
And we'll do it again next Thursday.
Yes,
maybe
we will.
Maybe. I don't know. I might take a meeting.
No, you're contractually obligated.
What happens
we have it in writing. You
No,
got to
Brett-
be here.
Well, Brendan, 2 things will happen. Just know that like we don't have to do Rangers like we could do Ducks.
Okay, if we're doing Ducks, I'll do
Yeah.
it. Oh, and by the way, you guys, you want to have a smile on your face as we end this episode?
Oh god.
They only played 1 game
Oh.
during this 5-day week, right? They have the most games played in the NHL. The beauty of that is
Everyone
not only
passed
do they
them.
play on Saturday, and not only do they play on Monday, but they also play on Tuesday, and then they have another back-to-back at the end of the week. They play 5 games next week. So if you're miserable now when they only played 1 game, can't wait till what you're going to be after they play 5. And after Chris Kreider shoves 3 goals down your throat on Monday night, and after Elias Pettersson shoves 2 goals down your throat on Tuesday night, Thursday's going to be fun.
Should we pick another team? Should we pick another team each week and just see what fan base adopts us? See who will take us in,
I'm
because
fully on
you
the
can't.
Ducks bandwagon.
We can't It's just. It's so It's whatever. Whatever.
Well, I lived in Tampa for a year and a half, so I could switch legally. I think I reached the statute.
All right, boys.
All right.
I gotta head out.
I'm a Rangers fan, good or bad. It just happens to be a lot more bad. But great episode, real fun. Glad you guys watching had a good kick out of my face at the 43-minute mark. Okay, we'll have to put that in the caption of the show notes. But we'll see you guys next week.